And we continue to follow this bridge collapse that happened. We want to take you right out to the scene where you could see that officials are briefing the media. Let's listen in.
From the onset of this incident, and on behalf of the mayor and myself, I'd like to say that our thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families. Late last night, we transitioned from a search and rescue mission to one of recovery and investigation. With that transition, our police department, along with their investigative and law enforcement partners, are now in charge of the operation. Our primary focus is to remove all of the cars and all of the victims in a dignified manner and not compromise the investigation in the process. The investigation is vital because we want to ensure that this type of accident doesn't happen again locally or anywhere in this country. With that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Juan Perez, the director of the Miami-Dade Police Department. Thank you.
Good morning. Like I was just mentioning, I'm Juan Perez from the Miami-Dade Police Department. As you just heard, late last night, it was approximately 10 o'clock when the determination was made that this no longer was going to be a search and rescue mission, and now it is a recovery and investigatory mission. So at that point, we transitioned and we became incident commanders. What that means is our priority, which is the most critical thing, is to get to the victims, get to the remains of the people that are underneath that bridge so that we could take them to the proper place so that their families can have the appropriate burial and ceremonies that they want to have, that last chance, the opportunity to have with their family members. This is a tragedy that we do not want to reoccur anywhere in the United States. So with us today here, and actually they got here last night, it was OSHA, NTSB, who are going to assist us through this process and work with us and do, they're going to do parallel investigations with our homicide investigators. In addition to that, yesterday, I had been in communication throughout the day with our state attorney, Kathy Fernandez-Rundle. Today, she has a team of state attorneys here on the scene to help us moving forward with the investigation. But please do not jump to any conclusions, okay? It's important that we understand this is a homicide investigation. That's all it is. That means that somebody died. That is it. It's not mean that there is criminal charges looming or pending or anything like that. Is there a possibility for that? There's always a possibility for anything like that to occur. But does not mean, because I already read some headlines, you know, possible criminal charges. So there could be possible criminal charges anywhere. So we're not there yet. We're not there yet, and we don't even know if that's going to lead to that. Right now, we just want to find out what occurred, what caused this collapse to occur, and people to die. We want to get to the bottom of this, the bottom line of what occurred so that we can bring closure to the families, bring closure to the investigation, and so that it doesn't happen again. That's the most important thing here. Now, if we find something on the way, that is why the state attorney is here with us. They are right now monitoring this investigation along with our investigators, just in case that occurs, and that is it. So there are a lot of moving parts. We mentioned yesterday about the reunification center with our victim advocates. The key thing here is to provide as much comfort and show as much compassion to our victims, which are also the family members that lost somebody. So we have here with us our police chaplains that have come out here to provide some of that support for those family members. That's why it's also key, and I keep reminding you to please, if you happen to find out names of victims, just because you guys are very good at what you do, please do not disclose that unless you know for a fact that we have notified next of kin that to confirm that their loved ones are the ones that are in those vehicles. We know that there's people missing. The family members know that they're missing. And what we can tell them is that we could assume that they're in there, but we cannot confirm identity of who's in there. So we're caught in a bad place right now. So the last thing we want to do is disclose names and all that, so that, you know, let us do that because we're trying to navigate through some difficult times, you know, that is arisen because of this tragic event. This is a tragedy, and there's nothing that we can probably do to fill the gap that's been created in the souls of the family members and friends. So it's very difficult for us to do that. So this is obviously for the family members. I can only empathize, as all of us. So I ask you to please cooperate in that manner with us. Next up, I think I'm going to bring up Fire Department, Chief Downey, to say a couple of words.
Good morning again, Dave Downey, Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. As you've heard, we're assisting now Miami-Dade Police in the recovery effort. We're working side by side with police and all the investigation agencies to try to bring closure to this incident. We're going to remain on scene until such time as we've removed every victim, and we'll continue to work. We exhausted last night all of our search and rescue capabilities in hopes of finding additional survivors. We used auditory, we used visual, we used our canines, and we've determined that there's no longer any survivors. That's why we transitioned into this recovery mode. But we will continue to remain on scene. We'll continue to work in order to get all of these victims removed. And we ask again that everybody keeps the families in your thoughts and prayers, and understand that this is going to be a long-term operation. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Robert Sumwalt, and I'm the chairman of the National Transportation Safety Board. And on behalf of myself and all of my colleagues at the NTSB, we'd like to offer our sincerest condolences to those who've been affected by this tragedy. The people of South Florida have been through a lot, obviously, over the last several weeks, and this is just yet one more tragedy to add to that sad book. The NTSB has brought a full investigative go team. We began arriving in Miami on scene here at about 10 o'clock last night. We left about 2 last night. We met with the state, local, and federal officials, and then we did a general walkthrough of the area. In addition to our headquarters support staff in Washington, we have a 15-person team. They have expertise in civil engineering, material science, human factors, survival factors, and we've brought in our specialists from our Office of Transportation Disaster Assistance who will be here to help facilitate the needs of the victims and the victims' families. I want to distinguish ourselves from the type of investigation that we're doing. You heard the director say that they are conducting a homicide investigation, which is routine for anytime there's been a death. Our investigation is completely different. We are here, we're an independent federal agency. We're charged by Congress to investigate transportation accidents, to determine the cause, to make recommendations so that something like this does not happen in the future. And that's why we are here. We are working with the local officials, but we are conducting an independent investigation that is not in any way related to any criminal charges, possible criminal charges. We don't, of course, have immediate access to the site. We did a general walkthrough last evening, but until we get full access after the recovery operation is completed, we have not had a chance to get up and really start getting what I call an up-close and personal look, a real investigative work, but that will begin, hopefully this afternoon. I do imagine that our investigators will be on scene 5 to 7 days. This will be a very detailed investigation. We have conducted bridge collapse investigations before. You may recall about 11 years ago, the Minneapolis Bridge, the I-35W, that claimed 9 lives, and so we do certainly have experience in that. And as I've said, our entire purpose for being here is to find out what happened so that we can keep it from happening again. Now, depending on what we may be able to find, we may do a press conference this afternoon, late this afternoon, to update you. But given that we've not been able to get in due to the recovery operation, we may not have anything to report. And if we don't, we're not going to drag you all out here for a media conference where we don't have anything to report. But you can follow us at NTSB on Twitter, NTSB_newsroom, NTSB_newsroom, or on our website, www.ntsb.gov. I certainly want to thank the state, local, and federal authorities for their cooperation. They've been great to work with, and I know that we'll continue to have an excellent relationship with them. Thank you very much. My name is Robert Sumwalt, S-U-M-W-A-L-T, and I'm the chairman of the National Transportation Safety Board. Thank you very much.
Good morning. This continues to be a multi-agency effort that will take some time. We are advising that Southwest 8th Street will remain closed indefinitely between Southwest 107th Avenue and 117th Avenue. We have provided a traffic detour pattern. We are asking all motorists to please assist us in staying away from the area. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Hey, I'd like to thank the NTSB, Miami-Dade County Police, Miami-Dade County Fire Rescue, all other law enforcement agencies, both state, local, municipal, and federal that have arrived at the scene. Just asking everybody to please be patient. This, as the director was saying, this is still an active homicide investigation. NTSB will be here conducting a national transportation safety bureau, so the investigation is also led at the federal level. We have understood that one of the fatalities now has been confirmed that is an FIU student. We are truly saddened to hear that. We have not yet been able to confirm whether the student is actually a City of Sweetwater resident, but we are truly saddened that it was a student also that has lost their life. We are asking everybody to please be patient, cooperate with all enforcement investigations, and to not try to disseminate information to the media or to the outsources that has not been confirmed at one of these news conferences. There have been several media sources that have been asking me to confirm unconfirmed sources. Please don't do that. It really just hurts the impact to the community as well as impairs the investigation. Thank you all.
Okay, we'll take a couple of questions in English before we do Spanish. Just call out who your questions for.
This is the local officials. Whose decision was it not to shut down traffic while workers were working on tightening those cables?
So right now, this is obviously an ongoing investigation. Those are all the answers that we're looking for as well. So we don't know that. We're going to have to get to the bottom of that. So we're going to have to start from the beginning, from contract all the way to the end, to the incident happened, and to find out all the details.
So what would be the policy? Normally, when workers are doing that, what is the policy? Should traffic have been shut down?
You're asking me engineering questions. I cannot answer engineering questions, but we will get to the bottom of that.
Perhaps the lieutenant for FHP could talk about protocols of closing a state road during any kind of construction.
Same response. We're not engineers.
Also, do you know what time the stress test happened, and if that?
I don't even know if there was a stress test. I don't even know if there was a stress test. I've been hearing that. Right now, we have not confirmed that definitely that was the issue. I don't think he can talk about that either because it's part of the investigation.
Yeah. We're doing an investigation.
Yeah.
We're gonna answer all of these questions and more during the course of the investigation.
All these things that we hear, you guys are very good. I mentioned that before. So we also listen and pay attention to what you guys are putting on the media. So when you guys are saying these things, we're also taking a look at that and to verify those things so that at the end we can come back and either, prove that or disprove that. So
but
yeah.
It's the county mayor and a U.S. senator who are saying these things. There's not
That's a question you have to ask. That's a question you have to ask either the U.S. senator or the mayor, who are not here right now.
But he's representing the mayor, so that's why I'm asking.
And he's going to give you the same answer.
My answer is we have not confirmed that there was a stress test. We've heard that just as you have, and that will be confirmed. But the key here is not to jump to conclusions, not to speak on speculation, but to work off of facts, and that's what we plan to do.
Deputy Mayor, has anyone seen the video out of the actual collapse? And if so, does that guide you to start pinpointing where to look at what breached first?
We have seen the video, and our engineers have seen the video, and the National Transportation Safety Board will see the video if they haven't already. So that is going to be a key piece of information. But as I said, the key is to be deliberate and meticulous, and to work off of facts, not speculation. So that's what we intend to do.
Mr. Chairman, I understand it's very early and y'all just got here, but do you have any concerns with the fact that this bridge was allowed to go up and cars were allowed to go under without the central support beam?
The question is, does the NTSB have any concerns that this bridge was allowed to go up without certain precautions being taken? And you know, that is, I'm going to give you the same answer they've been giving you, is that that's part of our investigation. Our investigations are very comprehensive, they're thorough, and they take a while, but when we do it, we will have those answers. Thank you.
Have you seen that construction practice? Have you seen that construction practice?
I'm not running this press conference, but here's what we're going to do. When you have a question, I want you to raise your hand. We will call on you, and then we'll answer. And I want you to state who you are, your affiliation, and then we'll answer your question. So I'd like the PIO to be here to call the questions.
Okay.
Question,
right here.
Question for you here. Raise
Right
your
here.
hand.
1 second, right here.
What will be the next step in moving the concrete? How do you even go into tackling
What affiliate are you with?
I'm with WPLG.
WPLG. And who's your question for?
I guess director or fire chief, whoever can talk about the next step in these.
So obviously this is going to be it's a very difficult task because of the type of equipment that it's required. So we had some of the equipment out here last night. We need to bring other equipment that's going to be here in the scene to start to remove these pieces, trying to make the pieces smaller and more controllable. So it's going to be a tedious process to be able to do that. Once we break that large piece apart, then we'll be able to start pulling it off. So it's going to be very tedious. So
Right back here, you have a question.
you're last.
Sir? Okay, Chuck.
Yeah.
The NTSB chair said that he was hoping they could start looking this afternoon.
So let's do something. Does anybody have any other questions from me?
I do.
And then,
This for you.
okay, sir.
Does that mean that you expect to extract what's under the bridge at some point today?
We're hopeful we could do that as soon as possible. That's our goal with Chuck, is to get everything removed so we can get to those victims. Yeah?
Do you already have a clear idea of how many victims might still be under there, or is there still a possibility you could find more people than you're expecting?
Oh, so from now on, we're not even going to talk numbers anymore, because we expect to find other individuals on there. So what's probably best is that we wait to get to all the vehicles, and then we're going to give you a grand total of this fatality and the magnitude of this event.
One more question.
Yeah?
Last question. Glenna.
Hi, Glenna Milberg, WCLG. Good morning.
Hi, Glenna. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Can you talk about Florida Department of Transportation last night put out information that as part of the complement of people working on this, they have already determined that the engineer who was supposed to inspect various components was not pre-qualified and did not meet that contractual obligation. That has been disseminated as factual and official information. Can you go into anything you know or might want to talk about what might have not been officially completed, whether it be from the contractor, the subs, the engineers? Some things went wrong. What else do you know went wrong?
So we obviously know about that as well, and so our goal now is to follow up on that. So what for DOT, if they're watching, or anybody else, if you have information, videos, or anything else that you think can help us, bring it to us rather than tweeting it out or going doing a press release on it, because it's information that we like to have. So we're going to look into that. Now we have to interview DOT, get those facts, and then obviously come here to the school, interview people in the schools, and get to the bottom of all that as well. Because
have you found any other breaches yet?
So right now, what our first priority is, like I mentioned, is getting to those victims. We're obviously gathering information, pieces of information. We're lucky that NTSB is here with us, because they can shed true light at the end of the day, with their expertise of what caused this collapse. So their report will be critical for us, for our findings, and then the state attorneys here as well, monitoring, helping us to get some of that information. But it's going to be this investigation is going to be ongoing, way past the removal of not only our victims, but any debris and the reopening of the streets. we're going to have to continue on this investigation because it's going to be a long paper trail to get to those points. So right now, we're not going to be able to have those answers for you tomorrow, the next day, because, you know, we got to, it's a scaled approach.
We're going to transition into Spanish now, guys.
I'll get you after. I'll get you after.
Director, you're going to start in Spanish.
Español?
Thank you.
That's great.
He's going to make his statement first.
I forgot what I even said in English. Buenos días. Gracias por estar aquí de nuevo. Hoy estamos anunciando que...
All right, you've been listening to officials update the media on the investigation and the recovery effort at the pedestrian bridge collapse at FIU, and we want to give you some of the highlights of what officials just said. First of all, the primary focus today is to remove all of the cars and the victims in a dignified manner from the scene without compromising the investigation. There are two investigations, parallel investigations going on right now, one being headed by the Miami-Dade Police Department involving a homicide investigation, which is routine in these kinds of circumstances. The other is a federal investigation by the NTSB looking to see what caused this tragedy and looking for ways to prevent it from happening again. We also know that the death toll at this point stands at 6. Officials, though, cautioning that that number could rise as they gain access to the debris. Also worth noting that the Sweetwater mayor, Orlando Lopez, has confirmed that an FIU student has died in this bridge collapse. Again, the names of the victims have not been released just yet. Authorities say they are working to get definitive confirmation of the identities of the people who are still trapped underneath that bridge before releasing the names. They want to be the ones to talk to family members. They want to be the ones to deliver the tragic news. Now, we're going to continue following the story. We're going to bring you the very latest coming up in about 30 minutes on the Midday.